What did I learn from Dr. Gabo Mate? In case we haven't met yet, I'm Jess X Goh, and I'm the sole founder of Life in Confidence. I'm going to share with you the impacts of trauma through chronic illness, trauma in our relationship dynamics, and how we protect them through trauma, and the pathway moving forward. And these are the key things that I've gained from Dr. Gabo Mate's lecture that I recently attended. And I want to share what I've learned with you to raise your awareness and how you can have a better understanding of yourself and your relationship with others. So, chronic illness. If you are someone who has suffered from chronic illness, breakdown in your body, in your immunity, and you are constantly feeling inflamed and in pain, and you have seen doctors and specialists about your condition, and whatever you do by following their guidance, such as medication, surgery, it keeps coming back. Why? Have you ever been asked the question by them, do you suffer from trauma or extreme distress in your life, childhood, work, whatever it is? And it's because that aspect has not been addressed. We're constantly manifesting this through our bodies, such as panic attacks, due to a dysregulated nervous system. And why is that? Because we weren't seen through a healthy and loving way. We didn't receive the right type of attention or no attention. And so this is how the body shows up, through panic attacks, feeling ungrounded, unsettled, dysregulation in our nervous system because of not being seen in our body, not feeling safe in our body, such as unresolved trauma from sexual abuse, racism, and war, poverty that we struggle through in our family dynamic. And poverty shows up in different ways, not just not having a roof under your head or being homeless, but it can also show up as in parents fighting over money, not being able to pay for the mortgage, domestic violence, and that splits the household, feeling what's going to happen in the future. And so our body is amplifying this. It wants to get it out of its system because we haven't addressed what we've taken on in the family dynamic. So Dr. Gabo Mate pointed out that autoimmune system, chronic illnesses, comes from unresolved accumulation of deep-rooted trauma. So if you are suffering from chronic illness and you've tried the medical system and it's not working for you, then you might want to look into your traumas. How are you perceiving your traumas? How are you perceiving you? What is the narrative that you carry within yourself? Is it critical? Do you abandon or reject yourself? Do you judge yourself? Do you hold yourself back from living your life or expressing your needs or an opinion? Pay attention to that and see what shows up for you. Perhaps you might want to journal these thoughts and just notice what sort of narrative is showing up for you and how you can shift that through compassion. How can you see yourself from a place of compassion, love, acceptance, and forgiveness instead? And this leads me to my next point, which is how trauma shows up in our conditioning and family dynamics through Dr. Gabo's lecture that I've learned. And he mentioned that he saw a person that came to his lecture who was autoimmune, has lupus. And when she left the lecture and really took on self-compassion, the autoimmune was no longer in her body anymore. She looked like a normal, healthy human being. And it's because she changed the narrative and her relationship with herself, healing the trauma within. And as you do that, you change your body. Your body is not holding so much acidity, so much trauma that is creating a breakdown, disease and chronic illnesses as soon as you change your relationship with yourself, rather than trying to control your body and change your external environment. It really comes back to you. What do you need to change within yourself? And he mentioned that women take on a lot, and they express that through breast cancer, not loving their feminine self, that self-hatred that they carry. And the reason why so many women have breast cancer is because they were suppressed by the patriarchy, not just in this lifetime, but also for many generations, that women have taken on that trauma from the patriarchy. And leading to the next piece that I was about to talk about is trauma in our relationship dynamics. Now, I'm going to go deeper into this. Have you ever wondered, why is it hard to say no? To say no to things that you don't want to do. To say no to people asking for favors and requests. To say no to say something that you don't want to say, but you feel obligated to say it anyway. Do you really struggle to say no? And the reason why we struggle to say no, to instead disown our truth and be a people pleaser, is because we are protecting our relationship with that person. What does that mean? It means that you are scared of losing that person. So to not lose that person, or to not be abandoned or rejected or criticized or judged by that person, you must stay silent. You must suppress yourself in order to be accepted by them. And that is also you protecting your image, your reputation, your ego, by not telling the truth, by not being authentic and express your emotions from a place of vulnerability. And we learned that in our family dynamics, in our upbringing, where we learned that it was not okay to say no, because we are protecting the relationship that we have with our parents. Why? Because it's part of our survival. Dr. Gabo says that as babies, we are wired for fear. We are wired for anger. We are wired for compassion. We are also wired for love. And this also shows up in animals as well. Now, why is that we are wired for fear, anger, compassion, love, as well as grief? Because we need these indicators to help us how to survive in this world. Because the young knows one day that their parents will no longer be around. So we have to use our survival instincts to live and thrive. So if we are not receiving love from our parents, we feel we are not surviving. So what do? We disown ourselves to protect our relationship with our parents. So we are able to get some form of love from them by being someone that we're not. And so through these insights from his wisdom, he says the way forward is self-compassion. Now, what does that look like? What does that mean? Self-compassion is really not just having compassion for others or forgiveness for others. It's actually to embody that compassion and forgiveness within ourselves. Because if we're not able to embody that, how can we forgive others? He also mentioned that forgiveness is not for other, is for ourselves as well. Because that's how we can liberate ourselves from our pain, is to forgive ourselves first and foremost. To forgive ourselves for telling and feeding ourselves this narrative that we're not enough, that we're constantly being abandoned, rejected, judged, criticized, the stories that we feed into our head. And so this is where the forgiveness piece needs to come through. It's forgiving ourselves for all of the distortions that we choose to buy into that isn't true. That isn't true. It's a story that we learned from our upbringing because we were scared to lose that relationship. And it's all survival. It's all a coping mechanism. Think of it this way. Would you want to say to a loved one how disgusting they are, how low they are, what a loser they are, how flawed they are, that they are never enough, that they're not successful, because that is your narrative within yourself? Would you want to say that to a loved one? Of course not. And so why would you want to do that to yourself? And so this is where self-compassion comes into place. And as soon as you start to soften the narrative, soften the need to beat yourself up, to punish yourself, that you haven't set the standard high enough for yourself, or perhaps you're not even reaching that high level of standard that you've placed over your head in the first place, that needs to be removed because it's not serving you and it's not serving anyone. So compassion, look at the aspects of yourself that is longing to be accepted and loved, and give that to those versions of you. So there you have it, my love. These are the key pieces that I want to bring to your attention, that I feel is well worthy of sharing with you, to bring it to your awareness, so you can have these insights to empower yourself. If you got something out of this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can share incredible content to as many people as I can, so they can raise their awareness and have some tools or knowledge to start moving forward in their healing journey. If you got something out of this, you can give this video a like, share it with your loved ones, and comment below, what did you get out of this? Any insights that you've learned about yourself or just about this content. And lastly, if you feel that you struggle to love yourself, there's a reason why. And Dr. Gabo says that we learnt at a young age to love our dysfunctional and toxic parents by not loving ourselves. So just notice where you give a lot of love away to your children, to your parents, to your friends, to the work that you do, but you don't give that back to yourself. It's because you've learnt at a young age that you had to disown yourself by not loving yourself, and instead you had to love your toxic family. So just be aware of that and do your very best to practice self-compassion, self-love, and self-acceptance. If you really struggle with this, then I invite you to come along and attend my trauma recovery workshops and retreats. You can learn more about this in the link below. And you can also book a free clarity call to see if this immersion is right for you. And I also offer one-to-one. So if I happen to be in your location and you would like to do a 1-day personalized trauma recovery retreat, just you and me, to work on what we need to work through, whether it's a 1-day or a 2-day experience, to work with your schedule, please book a free clarity call and we can discuss how we can cater a tailored experience just for you if you want that one-to-one experience instead of a group environment. I also work with private clients in a 3-month container called Find Yourself and Trust online, where you get all of me through unlimited support through WhatsApp or Telegram or Line, private trauma recovery sessions tailored to what it is that you need to process, release, and let go so you can show up as a completely transformed person. So if you like to learn more about that, you can watch my free webinar, How to Overcome the Impacts of Childhood Traumas in Just 3 Months. So definitely watch the webinar and you have an opportunity to book a free clarity call to see if this container is for you. And lastly, if you are a woman with a womb, I am running my Spring Equinox Women Healing Circle. And this is done online. And the focus is about the intention of bringing something new through the cyclical nature of a woman being in her spring. And how does that work with your day-to-day life? How can you start implementing your spring cycle? As well as having awareness around the wounded and healthy feminine and how we can start clearing it. There will be a transmission to connect the heart and the womb with more coherence and releasing any shame, any guilt, any anger, any grief that you are holding in these spaces and places. And if you're not able to attend live, you can also access the replay for 1 month. There will also be guided art therapy to help you integrate the feminine transmission, and also a personalized card reading just for you. Even if you're not on the call, I will pull out a card for you, a message for you to move forward with your femininity. So if that calls you, or if you know a sister who's in need of this, please click on the link below and check it out. So there you have it, my love. May this transmission serves you.